I know that a lot of local Tampa Bay leaders called last week and wrote a letter to create a task force and to take on some of these big issues that people have been protesting and marching about. What is the timeline to create that task force?
Well, the task force was brought up by the Black elected officials in Hillsborough County when this first started, and we have not really gotten together to talk about that. There will be a meeting with the mayor coming up tomorrow by the Black elected officials from the Senate, State Senate, the State House, myself, and the city and the school board to talk about some things that we want to see happen. And at that point, I think we'll come back together to look at what kind of task force are we looking for, who would we want to serve on that task force. I would, probably a cross section of people from all walks of life on that task force that have concerns. Don't want it to be a large task force. If it gets too big, you run into too many problems. So we haven't gotten to that point yet, but I would imagine pretty soon we'll start talking about organizing that task force. I would probably say in the next 30 days, we'll look at organizing and then probably getting together, start meeting right after that.
And then what is the couple of the first big issues you would like the task force to tackle?
Well, I think there's some things that we need to look at specifically with the city of Tampa and its police department. And that's what I think the Black elected officials will be discussing tomorrow. One of the things is the police department's training, its policies and procedures. What is it that we need to do to make sure that we don't have an incident happen in Tampa that we had happen in Minneapolis? What is your policy on putting your knee on someone's throat? What is your policy once you handcuff someone? Do you turn them over immediately on their on their back and set them up? What is your policy for a number of things that we're looking at? We need to look at culture sensitivity. What is it? What do we need to have culture sensitivity for our law enforcement officers? Those are some of the things we need to talk about. We ought to talk about our hiring practices. What is the percentage of African Americans in the city of Tampa Police Department? My understanding is that we have 1,000 police officers, but only 10% of those are African American, and less than 10% of those that are there are in decision-making positions that are what we call wearing the gold badges. I think we have to look at that. Do we need a citizens reform and get what teeth that citizen reform group have along those lines? And community relations, we got to talk about how well the City of Tampa Police Department and other law enforcement agencies in this county work in our communities. That sensitivity training has to come into place. We have a diverse community in Tampa, and they're African Americans, they're Hispanics, the whole works. They need to have some sensitivity, and every one of those groups have a culture, and all the cultures are different. And now we're not asking you to know each and every one, but at least have some sensitivity about it.
As I'm sure you've probably read or watched, Minneapolis is talking about defunding the police department. I know there's been talk of that. What is your reaction to defunding a police department? And is that something you might support in the Tampa area?
I would not support it. No. Defunding the police department is not the way to do that. I understand the reactions of people thinking about this, that if you didn't defund the police department, a lot of these things will hopefully go away. That is not the way to do that. The first thing they say is police is to protect and serve and protect. That's what they have to learn to do: serve and protect. And defunding them is not going to be the way to get that done. We need to look at, again, in Tampa, hiring practices of the police department, sensitivity training of the police department, get them to understand the communities that they serve, get them to understand the different cultures that they serve. That's what we need to look at. And you can't get that done by defunding the police department. It just doesn't work that way. There has to be a training of the police officers that we don't have the type of things that happen in Minneapolis happen here in Hillsborough County in the city of Tampa. And you can't get that done by defunding the police department. Who's going to protect us supposedly? That's what they're there for. We just got to help them understand and get them trained to protect us. And we can't do that by defunding them. I've heard those cries. I've heard many of them saying put more money into the social workers, let them do some of the work that the police department is doing. In certain instances, you may be able to work that way with some of it, but when it comes down to the overall the overall work of police officers, we have to have them there. We just got to understand, and they got to understand that your job is different these days. You got to have body cameras. I'm not talking about the body cameras that shut off at a certain point, or when they come on when you put your hand on your gun. That body camera should be working 24/7 when you have it on. Those things have to be in place. So we can't get those things done by defunding the police department.
What about the social service programs? And do you think we have enough programs to serve the African American community in Tampa as far as the healthcare issues that they're facing, as far as the social issues, the mental health issues, those kinds of things that they're talking about they would shift that funding for in Minneapolis?
Well, no, we don't have enough funding for that. We don't have enough funding for the healthcare issues in the Black community. We've always known that when it comes down to healthcare, the African American, the Black community is always the one to suffer. We have the most chronic diseases, the high blood pressures, the heart problems, the cancers, the diabetes, the whole works. We have that. Those things need to be looked at. And I've been talking to some Black doctors in Hillsborough County who are willing and wanting to do some work in that community, but it's going to take funding to get that done. We need to talk about the job situation. The unemployment is high now because of the coronavirus. We got to bounce back from that. We know budgets are going to be tough, but some way, somehow, between government and hopefully the private sector, we can create more jobs to get more Blacks into those jobs, making it where they can feel that they're a part of the society and not a part of the problem. And that's in the Black community. That's always been. We feel that we may be a part of the problem because that's a picture that's painted for us that you're a part of the problem. No, that's not it. We just want our fair share. So when you start talking about the healthcare issues, when you start talking about the employment issues, when you start talking about many of the issues, it's going to be tough right now with budgetary wise to get these things done because there might be some cuts done, but we need to find ways, specifically working with all sectors of this community, even the private sector, and getting some things accomplished in the African American community that we've never had before.
How do you feel about the marches that have been taking place and the protests going strong for weeks now all over the world, worldwide? Yeah. People calling for calling out for the same. They just want equality. It's equality. We want it across the board. We want the good health care. We want the good jobs. How does that make you feel personally to see this continue, especially in a peaceful way?
The peaceful way is the important part. And that's what I'm happy to see them doing. And I was listening to President Obama a couple of days ago, and he compared the civil rights marches and protests in the 60s compared to the ones we have now. And I'm a little bit older than President Obama, so I remember them very, very well. The marches that we had back in those days was predominantly African Americans who had to face some real stern pushback in the states of Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, Louisiana, here in Florida also. The marches we have today, you have a group of people from all different races, all different backgrounds, all different financial statuses, even stars, superstars, basketball stars, football stars, all out there marching for the rights for people that have the same rights across the board, whether it's in the United States and all across the world. And they're doing it peacefully. All they want to do is have people listen that either you're Black, white, Hispanic, whatever the case may be, you got to have equality for everyone. That includes Black people. And we want to stop this massive killing of African American people by law enforcement. This has to stop. There's a major difference. And I'm happy and proud to see them doing the marches now peacefully, not the looting and the things that happened before, but peacefully and hopefully in the city. I'm listening as a county commissioner. I can't get out there with them because of some health constraints. And this state and this country, that people will start listening and say, we've been wrong. The sports community, we've been wrong. Political community, we've been wrong. All aspects of business, we've been wrong. Now it's time to make it right. And those people out there protesting are saying just make it right. So let's do that.
Do you see a future where we can have hope, and why?
I I I I pray that I live long enough to see that future. I really do. Um, I pray that it starts now with the death of George Perry Floyd. I pray that that it's already started to make a difference. And if this already started to make a difference, I pray that in my lifetime, before the good Lord calls me home, we see a major, major change. We cannot revert back to what we had before. We've got to make a change in this country. If we don't, it's going to be major, major problems. And I don't think we need to see that. Now, there's some people out there, they don't feel the same way. They think it's fine the way it is right now. They want to see the race relations remain the same as it is right now, even worse. Um, but I think the majority of the people in this country are going to make changes, and those who don't like it are going to have to live with it. I hope I see that before the good Lord calls me home.